Hello there, Mr. Chu here. Let's talk about a couple of SAT problems. These are the last two problems in Module 3. Let's get to it. So, this is video 9 in Module 3, problems 26 and 27. So there are Module 1 and Module 2 review videos. 1 to 27 in each module, so there's 54. And then after these two are finished, I'll have a total of 81 review problems that have all been released by the College Board for review for the SAT. So remember that some of these problems will seem really easy to you. Number 26 is just a multi-step problem. 27 is much harder on today's group. And Trey is coming to say hello to everyone. Trey is my 4-year-old black tomcat. And sometimes he comes and he decides he wants to say hello. He's wanting some loving from Mr. Chu today. So these problems require background knowledge in algebra, geometry, and other math from your high school math classes. They are not group based on the type of problems they are group based on the number that they show up in the module. So these are exactly the way the College Board wanted them put in order. Like this video. If it's helpful to you, follow me on TikTok. Trey is causing all of that mess there. He keeps grabbing a hold of my hand on my mouse. You know, a cat would like a mouse. Ha ha ha. So now he's rubbing against the monitor because he's wanting affection right now. So this YouTube channel you're watching this on is something you need to subscribe to. Here's the long link. Over here are also links that you can subscribe if you need to send me an email to ask me a question about math or about Trey. Send it to askmrchu@gmail.com. So let's get to the problems now. All right. So the table here, now make sure you pause these and try them on your own, then start it back up and see if you're able to do it right. This table shows the results of a poll. A total of 803 voters selected at random were asked which candidate they would vote for in an upcoming election. So if you add these two up, you'll see that 483 plus 320 is 803. According to the poll, if 6,424 people vote in the election, by how many votes would Angel be expected to win? So let's just, first of all, talk about the information that we know. We're given that 483 people the voters chose Cruz of the 803 that were cast based on this poll. Then we're going to write a ratio of Cruz votes to total votes cast, which will create a proportion. You write two ratios. So the first ratio here is on the left. It equals a second ratio on the right. So we know 483 out of 803 is going to equal, we don't know how many total votes over the total number. And then to solve a proportion, which is two ratios set equal, cross multiply. So I'm going to make an X and multiply 43 times 6,424, and then 803 times X. So that is the method. And when I would teach this to my middle school and beginning algebra students, I would always tell them it's almost like you're making an X here. So there's my 483 times my 624, my 803 times my X. Now we're going to simplify this by using a calculator and multiplying the 483 times the 6,424. And I get 3,102,792, and that equals 803x. Now we're going to solve for x by using inverse operations. So we use what's called the division property of equality to divide both sides by 803 and simplify that. You notice that 803 over 803 will be 1, and 1 times x is x. So this becomes a calculator problem as well. 3,102,792 divided by 803 equals 3,864. But now I need to find out how many votes they won by. So I have to subtract. And what do I subtract? I subtract 6424 minus 3864 because there were 6,424 votes, and we knew that's how many they got. So by 1,304 votes, which is choice B. Hopefully you were able to get that one right. And number 27, which is the last one in Module 3, is a much more difficult, much more complicated problem because it is going to use lots of issues that you had and things you were taught in an algebra, possibly a geometry, possibly an algebra 2 class. So it says the graph of x squared plus x plus y squared plus y equals 199 over 2 in the xy plane, so it's in a coordinate plane, is a circle. This happens to be the graph of a circle. What is the length of the circle's radius? There's a lot of stuff going on here in this problem. So the general form of an equation of a circle is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared equals r squared. The center is hk, and the radius would be r. And it's asking us for the radius. So we're going to have to take this equation right here and somehow make it an addition of two perfect squares. So I just gave you the hint, and it's something that students do not like. Sometimes they're not even taught it in Algebra 1. It goes to Algebra 2, and it's called completing the square. So we're given this equation here. So now here's our goal and our strategy. We're going to take this x squared plus x and somehow make it look like the difference here of a square. And the same thing here for the y squared plus y to get my y minus k quantity squared. And then once we've done that, if we take the square root of this, we will get our radius, and that is our goal. All right, so it's called completing the square, and it is part of the quadratic chapter or unit in Algebra 1 that is sometimes skipped and pushed on to Algebra 2 when you start learning about the quadratic formula. And you actually have to complete the square to prove the quadratic formula if your teacher is into showing you proofs. So we have to talk about how I complete the square on the x terms, which is x squared plus x, and then how I complete the square on the y terms, which is y squared plus y. And then whatever I have to add to each of them, you also have to add to the right side. And that is the strategy we're going to use. So to find the x minus h quantity squared, I take my x squared plus 1x, that's what I have here, and I'm going to take 1/2 of the coefficient of x. Well, that coefficient of x, I've written the 1 there because it's 1, and 1/2 of 1 is 1/2. And then I am going to square that and add it to both sides. So we take 1/2 of it and then square it and add it to both sides. So since I did not write the square there, I'm just going to put a 2, which means we're going to square it. And then we're going to do the same thing to the y squared plus 1y, 1/2 of the coefficient. Half of 1 is 1/2. And square that to get a 4th. And then we're going to add that to each of those. So what does that mean? I take my 1/2 and square it in order to be able to complete the square here. My 1/2 and square it in order to be able to complete the square there. 1/2 squared is 1/4, so I've got to add 1/4 to the right. And 1/2 squared is 1/4, so I have to add another 1/4. Well, 1/4 and 1/4 is 1/2. And when you add that to the 199, you're going to get 200 over 2. This is a perfect square, and it's x plus that number you had in parentheses, quantity squared. So that means that the center of this circle is at the point 1/2, comma, 1/2. Since it's a minus here, it's actually negative 1/2. Negative 1/2 is that point. And then here I'm going to get 199 over 2 plus 1/2, which is 200 over 2. And then 200 over 2 is 100. So here I've got my center, negative 1/2, negative 1/2. Here is going to be the radius whenever you rewrite that as 10 squared. So you notice that this is an r squared up here in our standard formula. So all I'm going to do is have to take the square root of r squared and the square root of 100, not 10, of 100. That is a typo. And the square root of 10 squared, or 100, ends up being 10. So the radius is 10. Hopefully you're able to get that radius correctly. So make sure you follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and X for helpful math videos. Why else would a good reason to follow me on these? Well, one, I have lots of videos of my two puppies, which, Bear is the namesake of Bear Algebra and Brack of Brack Geometry. But also, I will have announcements on TikTok and Instagram and X and Facebook about things that are coming and things I'm planning. And I'm planning some big things for the beginning of the next school year, where I'm going to offer some once a week free tutoring sessions for anyone that needs help in algebra. So a link to video with all 27 problems, Module 1, Module 2, are in playlists. And now this is Module 3 that is now complete after this one. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Here's the long link if you need to put it in a browser. There are also areas that you can click on different subscribe buttons. If you need to ask me a math-related question, I have a contact email address, askmrchu@gmail.com, and you can send me a math question, and I'll do my best to answer it. Help me spread the word. I'm Mr. Chu. I want to help students with math questions, whether you're reviewing for the SAT or for an algebra test, or let's say, for example, maybe you struggle with fractions. Mr. Chu would be more than happy to help you. So I do have a whole set of videos that I am just using to explain algebra, and I call it Bear Algebra. I have a gray 11-year-old peekapoo by the name of Bear. And if you would go to my Facebook or look at TikTok videos, you'll see lots of videos of Bear. And then my geometry is and Bear happens to be 12 years old. He's having a birthday next week. Brack is a 3-year-old half Italian sheepdog. He weighs 120 pounds. He's my baby, and he's asleep right underneath my desk right now. And I named my geometry after him. I also have a cat, and you saw the cat earlier in this video. He's gone now, but he was wanting some attention earlier. And my arithmetic and pre-algebra program is named after Trey, my 4-year-old black tomcat. I do other videos called Math Minutes with Mr. Chu, and these are just a problem or two that I'm trying just to share with people to see if you understand how to do it and maybe teach you a little math by watching it without actually going into a curriculum. And then I'm doing my SAT test prep. So I'll see you in the next video when I'm either doing a math minute or whenever I start posting all of the Module 4 SATs, I might even do some bare algebra or bracket geometry curriculum videos, like out of a textbook. I go along and teach different concepts there. Just make sure that you remember one thing, that I'm Mr. Chu and I'm a teacher who wants to help you. So watch my videos and I'll do my best to teach you the math in a way that you'll understand. I'll see you next time.